Thank you everyone for joining us today for the next installment of our Engineering and Operations Management Lunch and Learn webinar series. My name is Karen Hagenbotham. I'll be your moderator today. We ask that you please save all your questions until the end of the presentation, and we're going to utilize the chat box for that. We want to let everyone know this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on our ScholarWorks at UARC in our Operations Management collection of presentations. And if you did register for the webinar today, you will also receive a link to the recorded session to share with colleagues or maybe watch at a later date. So we want to go ahead and get started. I want to introduce our speaker for today. Our presenter is Dr. Greg Parnell, the director of the in the MS in Operations Management program, as well as the MS in Engineering Management program. And we're presenting today on the difference between engineering management and operations management, what they are and which best suits for you. So Dr. Parnell, please, thank you for joining us today.
Okay, thank you, Karen, and thank you everyone for participating either live here or listen to the recording after the fact. I've come up with a very simple rule for figuring out when Zoom will update. So Zoom needs an update. The later I sign on to the Zoom, the higher the probability of an update. That's the rule that seems to be work for me. So today I want to talk about engineering management and operations management in two contexts. First, you may need to, this will hopefully help you better understand what engineering managers do and operations managers do. And then also we'll tell you about our programs and how they might be beneficial and give you a little bit of information about each one of them. And we have some very exciting new certificates and micro certificates that we'll be introducing starting this summer and fall. Okay, here's the overview of what I'll be talking about. I'll talk about a typical company organization and how we might see engineering managers and operations managers and what they might do in that typical company. Then I'm going to talk about the knowledge areas of both engineering management and operations management, because they're very different. They have some things in common, and I'll talk about those, but they're fundamentally, I have a different focus. And then I'm going to talk briefly about the operations management programs, which include the Master of Science in Operations Management, some 4-course graduate certificates, and some 2-course micro certificates. And then we'll talk about the concept of stacking, how you can combine micro certificates and certificates along the way to getting your master's in operations management. And then I'll do the same thing for the EM program. And then we'll summarize the presentation and then be happy to answer any of your questions. Okay, if we were to take a typical company, like a large aerospace company or a transportation company, they might have this kind of organization. They would have a bunch of staff, which handles all the staff functions, HR, legal, etc. They would probably have some organization with a variety of names. Might be called R&D, might be called engineering, might be called innovation, might be called technology or technology management. And the role of that part of the company is to help develop new products and services. And they would work with existing customers and future customers to try to understand their needs and then use technology. And technology, of course, is all hardware and increasingly software to develop new products and services. Now, sometimes they build new facilities too and do the engineering for new facilities. For example, would be a distribution center too, which will enable a whole bunch of products and services to go through. But for this, primarily, it's new products and services. Then there's some kind of marketing or sales, which develops the market for the products and services, a finance organization, which makes sure the corporation has the funding, and then make sure the profits are properly dispersed and the funds and all the expenses are paid. And then finally, the side of the business that's critically important to the delivery of the products and services. And that side of the organization is the operations side. Excuse me. Go back one chart. Okay, and that's the side of the organization that has things like supply chain. It has the um, manufacturing, the distribution, and the transportation. And basically, they do everything, including making, buying, assembling, if they get the parts or parts from different suppliers, and then delivering the products and services all the way to the customer's location. Now, a government organization typically might not have all these aspects. Certainly, their marketing, they wouldn't have a marketing because they don't do sales, but they do have an organization that has to communicate with the customers. So they would have replaced that. They don't make a profit, but they certainly have to manage the funds they get in their budget. And they maybe have very large operations. You can think of the military. All the major commands in the military are all about operations. Now, the military has acquisition organizations which do the R&D and innovation and laboratory work too. So, but even government organizations involve both the R&D side of developing new products and services and then the operations side. So I want to talk now about some differences and similarities between engineering management and operations management. And I'm going to use these two pictures here that we've developed to kind of highlight them. You'll see on the top one, the engineering aspects. We've got an example here of satellite system, car system, and as we all know, cars are becoming incredibly software driven. And then we have we've got energy systems like wind, and then we've got autonomous vehicles, and then we have very automated processes that we have to design to manufacture these. But in the middle, it's about people. And these new products and services are typically delivered by projects and project managers who work with engineers from a lot of disciplines and put together a program to develop a new product or service and then turn it over to operations. And so we can say that the EM folks do it once and the operations folks do it many times. So they're going to, once that product is available, then they have to make it, transport, etc. So the picture below is the collage that we've developed that goes everywhere from manufacturing on the left and getting supplies in with transportation through ports and trucks, moving them around in distribution centers, and then finally sending them to the place that they go. So again, the focus of operations is making, buying, and assembling and delivering products and services. Now, when we look at the different kinds of courses or topics, typically courses are focused on these, we see that the technology side is about leading technology development, developing new products and services. It involves system thinking and system engineering, and then it involves designing for quality, sustainability, reliability, and maintainability. On the right-hand side is about leading operations, and it's about making, delivering the products, supply chain, process and job, facility location, quality management, including Lean Six Sigma, and then maintenance. And it's important to note that there's several things that are critical to both of these. One is strategy. The technology management and the operations have to align with the corporate or organizational strategy. Financial management is critical to both fields. There has to be the appropriate funds to develop new products and to deliver them. Leading change. New products and services are all about change. New processes is about change. Making improvements is about change. So leading change is critical to both sides. Both of them use project management for one-time activities. So an example of a project management would be the design of a new UAV for either a commercial or military application, carrying that design all the way from concept development all the way through delivery. And then a example of a project management for an operations would be the project to set up a new facility location, say a distribution center. That would be a project that an operations organization might manage. And then another one to come up with a new layout or a new process to develop a product or service. So project management is absolutely central to both. And then finally, both of them involve important decisions involving risk and the value of it. And so decision and risk analysis is critical to both. So when we look at these two, we see that they're fundamentally different in terms of their context, and the decisions are different. So the way we're transitioning now to the way our programs, as opposed to engineering management and ops management in general, we're transitioning to our two master's degree programs. And so we have organized our EM program around these 10 knowledge areas: management of technology, understanding finance, leadership, system thinking and system engineering, project management, quality, strategic planning, operations and supply chain, decision analysis, and then uncertainty and risk management. Those are the focus. So when you take our introduction to engineering management, these are the 10 knowledge areas that you'll learn about. And then you might take either required courses or electives that expand on these areas. Likewise, our operations management program focuses on 10 different operations management decisions. They include the development of goods and services, quality, process, location, layout, HR, supply chain, inventory, scheduling, and maintenance. So very different contexts and decisions, but some of the concepts and courses are the same. Okay, so let me introduce now the programs and the certificates. And the key point of this chart, and I'll use this chart again to summarize, is that our focus is primarily on the left-hand side when we talk about engineering management. We're talking about the left-hand side. The student may well want to take a course in operations management so they can understand what operations management is. They can take that as an elective, certainly, and that makes a lot of sense. But the focus is on the left-hand side, and we'll have 2 new certificates and 2 micro certificates. The graduate certificates are 4 credit, the micro certificates 2. And then on the right-hand side, we've got our 3 certificates we have right now: project management, Lean Six Sigma, and Homeland Security. And then we're introducing another graduate certificate called operations management, and then 3 new 2-course micro certificates. So we'll talk about them. Okay, our Master of Science in Operations Management requires a bachelor's degree, can be any major. And then what we do is, in order to enable that we can take any major, we have these 4 undergraduate prerequisites, some of which can be satisfied by testing out or taking online courses, or you can take our courses, one or the other. That kind of brings everybody up. So depending on your degree, you might not need all of them. Then we have 30 graduate credits of coursework, or 10 courses. We have 4 required courses. Again, the intro is going to focus on these 10 operations management decisions. And we want you to take that course first because after you satisfy your prereqs, take that course. So that gives you the overview of the whole field, and then you can kind of structure what your electives would be based on your interests and understanding that. But we have some required courses. There's 4 of them. The intro course, project management, strategy, and then either finance or economic. And then that gives you kind of a foundation and then 6 electives. And then we have a new comprehensive oral exam process where you do a 10-minute pre-recorded presentation, which we grade as pass-fail, and then we do an exit interview. So it's a fairly straightforward process. Okay, here's the 3 certificates that we've had for some time. We've had the project management one, and it's been very popular. We've brought new students into the program to get a project management certificate. This is 4 classes, and it's designed to prepare students to pass the PMP certification. So it's got an intro to project management that has the fundamentals, and then it has an advanced project management course, leadership course, like that. Then we have Lean Six Sigma, which is focused on how to eliminate waste and reduce variation in processes and improve processes. And that's our second largest certificate program. And then the third one is our Homeland Security one. And it's designed for industry and safety professionals to learn how to mitigate risk. If we look at our full menu of certificates, we're going, at this point, starting in the summer, we'll have 4. We have the 3 I just talked about: project management, Lean Six Sigma, Homeland Security, and then we'll have a new one called operations management. So this certificate kind of starts you with the OM courses. So it's a 4-course certificate, and if you want to just understand what OM is and get a certificate along the way, that would be a good one to some general understanding of the whole field. Then we have the now 4 2-course graduate certificates, and they are very different. They're 3 of them are more technical. The first one is the analytics for operations manager. This is a course for students that want to learn how to program in R and how to do descriptive and predictive analytics. So it builds on our very successful course that we have in analytics and then an advanced course. The second one over on the right is called Decision Support for Ops Managers. So this is a non-programming course, but it involves some extensive analysis with Excel, and it involves learning how a visualization software with Tableau, and then also take a decision models course too. So learn how to make support decisions, including analytics with Excel and visualization software. The third one here is leading operational change. And so it's a 2-course certificate, and it includes leadership and then organizing for change. And as I said, change is absolutely critical to every organization so they can be successful. So that we think this is going to be a very popular one. And then our next certificate, final micro certificate in the OM area, is Advanced Air Mobility with Autonomous Operations. So this is a brand new certificate. It uses our existing UAV course that Dr. Ham has developed, and that he's developed the follow-on course here for Advanced Air Mobility for Autonomous Operations. And this is because of the increasing use of vehicles, air vehicles, drones, UAVs, etc., and how it's so critical to manage the airspace to do these, but they'll be performing very important functions in conjunction with piloted aircraft. So there's a lot of important issues and safety issues and concerns that have to be dealt with. So that course will prepare for how the future you for how the future is going to operate for a lot of mobility aspects. Okay, so now we come to stacking. So what do we mean by stacking? Well, the stacking is you could take a course in change management that's got introduction to change management or organizing for change and leadership. And then you could take the project management 4-course certificate, and then you could take Lean Six Sigma. And then you would have 1 or 2 electives left, and you would have because there's some overlap in these, and then you'd have the 10-course certificate. So we call that stacking, and you can do this in a couple of ways. First of all, if your company only lets you take courses, funded courses, if you're applying for a graduate degree, you can apply for the OM program at the beginning, and then you can incrementally take the courses for these certificates, so you kind of complete the certificates as you go. The alternative way, if your company allows it or organization allows it, is you could start out just with a 2-course, and then add another 2-course or add a 4-course to it, stack it up, and then eventually you're going to be close to the 10 courses that you need for the program. So you work with one of our advisors, and they can tell you very clearly what counts, and you can figure out the best stacking of certificates that best meet your needs. Okay, now going over to the Master of Science in Engineering Management, the prerequisite for this one is a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from an ABET accredited school. So this is very different than the OM program in terms of the entry requirements. And this is going to prepare engineers to lead and manage technical workforces to provide products and services to meet strategic objectives of the company or organization, as we've talked about. But it has a different entry requirement. Okay, it has 4 required courses also, and there's the 4 required on the left. And then you also take a 3-course engineering sequence, or take some of our EMGT sequence that would be more analytically focused, or risk focused, or probability focused. You can put those together. So these courses can be all from one engineering department, or they could be from have a theme that applies to more than one engineering department in the College of Engineering. So if you have the choice of selecting your sequence and, of course, all your electives. So we now we'll have here in the summer 4 certificates here. 2 of them are going to be graduate certificates, 4-course, and 2 of them are micro certificates. So starting at the bottom with the micro certificates, the one on the left is made up of 2 courses, Intro to Engineering Management and System Engineering and System Thinking. And so if you want to get a really quick introduction to engineering management and understanding systems management, then that's a great micro certificate to start with. The System Engineering Analytics one is a 2-course one, and it focuses on how, if you're a system engineer and you want to improve your analytic skills, or you want to understand what system engineers do and how they use analysis, that would be the focus. Going now to the one on the left, the engineering management, that would be pretty much like our 4 required courses for the engineering management program. And so you get a 4-course overview of engineering management. The engineering management analytics is focused on analyzing multiple projects as opposed to a single system, say in the system engineering analytics. They're looking at how the projects are managed. Are they ahead of schedule, behind schedule? They look at how they're meeting performance parameters. They look at the funding flow, any of the cost, schedule, performance aspects of looking primarily at all or multiple programs within the R&D organization or technology organization. Now, these 4 certificates, we've opened them to anyone with a STEM degree. And the reason we've done that is we think that there's a lot of folks that have science and math or business kind of backgrounds where they've taken STEM courses and they're prepared to do this, but they're working in organizations that are engineering or systems oriented. So although they can't take the degree for ABET because it's ABET, the engineering management, they can get credit for these graduate certificates, and then they could apply them to the operations management program, which they would qualify with the STEM degree. So that's the distinction here. These are open for engineers as well as someone with a STEM degree. Now, stacking works very well too in this program. And so, as I said, you can take the system engineering and management, that's 2 courses at the bottom. Then you could add the project management certificate. And then you could take the engineering management analytics, which uses EMGT courses. So that would satisfy your 3 technical electives for the 3-course engineering sequence. And then you'd have a course or 2, because there's some a little bit of overlap. So you'd have a course or 2 additional electives, and you'd have the degree. And it's very possible that you could even do 4 of the certificates if you very carefully select your electives. So again, stacking can work 2 ways. If your organization requires you to declare that you're working towards a graduate degree, you can do that and then just take the courses in line with the certificates as you're scheduling of taking courses, or you can just start with the certificate, see how you like it, and see how it works. I remember talking to a person that started out with the PM certificate, and he told us that he told the comprehensive committee that when he took the certificate, he wasn't sure that a master's degree was right for him and that he would be able to do it, work and everything. But after taking the certificate, he got confidence that he could manage his time, and he found that the value added was so great that he wanted to continue and go on to our graduate degree. So there's lots of ways to do this, to do our program. Okay, so to summarize our program with the presentation here today, what I've tried to do is talk about what's different about engineering managers and management. What do they do? And I've talked about operations management. What do they do? And then we've talked that engineering management is primarily focused over on the left-hand side with lots of different names: R&D, engineering, innovation, technology development, etc. We have a master's degree program and 4 certificates for that. And then over on the right are all the operations part of the company or the organization, all the way from supply chain to manufacturing, distribution, and transportation. And we have the MS in operations management, plus 4 graduate certificates and 3 micro certificates towards that, all developed, focused on that. So that concludes my presentation. I would be happy to try to answer any questions that you might have.
Hey, I'm trying to unmute myself there. Thank you, Dr. Parnell. We asked that if you have any questions for Dr. Parnell, to please utilize our chat box and ask us any questions, whether it's about the coursework, about the certificates, about the sequencing. We have folks on that can answer questions about financial aid and admissions and the advising process. So for now, I know we have Dr. Carrie Beam, we've got Dr. Rich Ham on. They both had a hand in developing some of the new programs coming down the way, so I welcome them to join the conversation and maybe add anything that they see pertinent. I know Carrie and I talked about it in an event last night, and I know Dr. Ham has information on the advanced air mobility, so I welcome them. I also see Leonard Nethercutt. He is one of our project management gurus, so he is also welcome to join the conversation as we wait for any questions in the chat box. Go ahead, Carrie. I see that you're unmuted.
I have a question for Dr. Parnell. I get this question sometimes from students who say, I'm not sure I can commit to a full master's degree right now. Can I start with a teeny weeny micro certificate just to get my toes wet? And the question is that a good strategy or no?
I think it's a great strategy, especially if you're just not sure how much time you'll have and how it works, right? So a lot of our students had never taken an online class, and 95% of the plus of our courses are online. So, right, the experience of taking an online may be very unique, right? So it's a great way to start. Yep. And then make sure you can do it and that it's value added for you, will help you in the job. We have, if you join our LinkedIn for both either OM or EM, you'll see the testimonies of our graduate students, and they talk about how the program has helped them along in their jobs. A lot of them get promoted during the program or after the program. So, great question. Thank you, Carrie.
Yes, thank you, Carrie. We've got Evan online. Dr. Parnell, I'd be happy to take this, or Dr. Ham, anybody. Evan is asking if you're enrolled in the MSOM program and would like to pursue a certificate in the EM program, how would you declare that, or is that required? Would you like to take that question first?
Yeah, I'll take it. What you'd have to do, it'll depend on your situation and where you are in the program. But the best person to talk to is your advisor, and your advisor will put you, in this case, will put you in contact with an EM advisor and be able to answer your specific question. But generally, you should be able to take certificate and from EM. That's what we've designed it for. You could take a certificate because we believe that operation managers need to understand what engineering managers and technology managers do, right? So they support operations. They deliver new processes, new products, and so understanding what they do is very helpful to an operations manager.
Dr. Parnell, you had mentioned stacking, and I know Dr. Ham is going to be having an upcoming webinar on this. So, Dr. Ham, did you have anything to add or want to tease what we'll be talking about coming up in the first couple weeks of May about the advantages of stacking and upskilling and what all that includes and how that came about with, um, you know, creating these new programs?
Sure. Thanks, Karen. So, Karin, the idea of stacking is really from a demand that we heard both from students and employers that while many of us and we remember when we were in this position we were looking at getting a graduate degree, but things are moving very quickly, especially in industry, and skills are changing rapidly. So the idea of stacking is two things. You can actually start with a micro certificate and plan it in an area of skills that where you need to upskill, maybe for a job or a promotion or something that you're trying to pursue. And then you get this milestone that you get a credential from the University of Arkansas that's actually recognized and goes on your transcript. And then, so you don't have to wait if you take two, some of our working students may take 3 years, 4 years sometimes to complete because they have a lot going on in their life. But you can get these intermediate skills to allow you to have the skills you need to get promoted or to improve what's happening at your job en route to a master's degree is the end. So, a lot of that is clearly so that you can kind of pick those things. We've benchmarked and we know, so what's the skill set if somebody's going here, so you can look at classes that would support that new skill set that you need, and then get a credential that would make you both more competitive and then show that you're ready to go, as opposed to just trying to say, hey, I've taken these 4 classes. It's more formalized and it's easier for both employers and students to see where you've added skills along the way. And all of it, you spend time with your advisor about your interest for micro certificates, a certificate, and then onto a program to where those fit. But we have several students that have completed 3 and 4 graduate certificates en route to completing their master's degree, and each one of those kind of had its own set of skills that would be useful for them in the workplace.
Right. Okay. We've got a couple more questions. I know Carrie Beam's got one, but we're first going to go to Marge. Marge Pash is one of our advisors. Thanks for being online today. Marge asks Dr. Ham or Dr. Parnell, are there 4 micro certificates for the operations management side, or are there 3? Could you help clarify that?
Yes, I think there's 4. There's the leading change is one of the 2 certificates. Then there's the analytics one that involves the programming in R and that has analytics and advanced analytics. Then there's the decision support one that has decision models and Excel combined with Tableau to do visualizations. And then there's Dr. Ham's one, which is on autonomous operations, vehicle operations. So I believe there's 4.
Correct. Thank you for that. Miss Carrie, would you like to ask your question now?
Absolutely. This is another one I sometimes get from students, and I'm going to ask it in as melodramatic a fashion as I can, just for effect. So people often say, I do not want to go to the gym. I want to have been to the gym. And then what they also say is, I don't have 10 years worth of experience with Excel. I have 1 year worth of experience with Excel repeated 10 times. And what that means is I just bang my head on the keyboard all day at work because it doesn't do what I want it to do. I don't want to take your Excel class because I'm slightly afraid of that. I want to have taken it. And the question is, for people who want to magically upskill Excel or R, but don't actually want the pain of going to the gym and lifting the weights, like what is that experience like? Do I need to be very afraid of Excel?
So I don't think you do because Dr. Beam and some of our other faculty have developed a great course that will just step you right through the Excel development and increase your skills. And now, if you're a real expert, you can test out of that class. We've got the ability to test out, but it'll walk you right through it. And I think it's probably the course we've had the most comments about the value added immediately to students, because they've said that they're able to take what they learned today and use it tomorrow, which is one of our themes of our overall program is learn today, use it tomorrow. And that is definitely the case with the Excel course.
Got it. So even if you really don't have much of a background in Excel and it's a huge stumbling block and frustration in your current job, this program could still be helpful.
Yep, that's right. And there you're going to, the basic prerequisite course will get you the first step through that and give you a lot of functionality. Then if you take the course that we've developed that has the advanced Excel and the visualization, you'll really be a exceptional analyst because you'll have the exceptional skills in Excel and then be able to put them in visual.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions? I know we've got quite a few folks on here. Not sure if they're current students looking to add a micro certificate or a graduate certificate, or if folks are just, attending here today to see what our programs are all about, which is great. We welcome everyone and all. If there's any other questions, we'd be happy to answer any of those for you. Carrie, do you have anything else, many closing remarks?
No, just that I certainly welcome everybody, and we have so many wonderful students. One of the best things about being a student here, in my opinion, is the interesting classmates you get. It's not just listening to the professor all the time, because that gets old. I mean, we're all old and boring and we say the same thing, right? But you have classmates who are in the military, who work at Walmart, who work in logistics, who work in tech. And that's where you'll really learn about what's happening, and it builds a professional network too. So you too will have been to the gym.
Dr. Parnell,
Yeah,
would you like to add any closing remarks?
Sure. Well, just piggyback on Carrie's comment. That's a great comment. A lot of we do the courses online, but we have what we call discussion groups where all the students put their insights in from their own work experience, and then we do the vast majority of our courses have team projects. So my course that I'm teaching right now, Introduction to Engineering Management, has teams of four. And so they team up and they work on projects together. Sometimes it's about their own, they pick one of their companies and they analyze that company for some aspect, or they learn about a new problem or new area. And they all work on it together and they provide one decision paper in a format with an executive summary and then some analysis that highlights what they learned. So the group projects are a great way to learn from others and, as Carrie said, build their network.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Well, we don't want to use everybody's lunch hour up today. We want to thank you for joining us. Just as a reminder, since you are registered for the event today, we will send out a link to the recorded session so you can either view again or maybe pass on to some colleagues or anyone else that might be interested. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Parnell, for his time and presentation today. It was very informative. And our advisors who were able to join today and other MSOM and MSEM staff, Dr. Ham and Leonard, and of course, Dr. Bean. So email us. I've put our websites in the chat section of this. And of course, just please reach out to us with any questions. Thank you, everyone.